It sound right, boys. Sound right, boy.
Okay, I'm back, you guys. If you guys hear my kids in the background, it's okay. Don't even worry about it. Just ignore. Okay, so I'm not going to talk too much about this. Hey, Without Borders. Hey, that girl. Hey, Goose. Hey, Outside the Box, Magician's Manor. So I'm not going to talk too much about this case, but I do want to dive into it for a minute because it's so intriguing to me. And I know that a lot of you guys feel the same way about this whole Amber Heard and Johnny Depp case. If you've ever been in a DV relationship, I have in the past. If you've ever been with a narcissist, I have in the past. It is the most toxic thing ever. Like the most toxic thing ever to ever have to endure. Hey, Siley, how are you, beautiful? And just watching this case, you guys, makes me so mad. But here's why. Here's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the narcissist that is Amber Heard. And I want to give a few examples. And I also want you guys to kind of envision what it would be like to be with somebody like that if you've never been with a narcissist before, and to be cautious, obviously, and to be cautious even about creators here on this platform. Now, obviously, this is not about drama, y'all, so there's not going to be a whole bunch of people in here, and that's okay. We're good, right? We're going to stick to, I'm not talking about drama every day. I like talking about stuff like this, but I digress. But I'm excited to talk to you guys about this and get you guys' opinion about narcissistic, behaviors. And I'm going to have two guests that's going to, I really want it to be focused on narcissism, because it Amber Heard reminds me of NC, you guys. I don't mean to say this. In certain aspects, you know, I think we all see a little bit of Amber Heard in a lot of people, right? Especially here on this platform. So I'm going to drop the link really quickly. And I'm going to start off by talking about narcissists. Hey, Siren. Hold on. I'm going to paste it. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I want to start off by watching this one clip here. And the reason why I want to watch this clip is because I think this is a good example of a blatant narcissist. A blatant narcissist, okay? So here, I'm going to turn on my camera. So I think it's a good example of a blatant narcissist. And then I want to hear you guys' opinions about this, including the two people that are going to be talking about narcissism with me. So I'm going to play this clip really quick. Hold on. I honestly think that until you actually go through it, it's really, really tough to imagine what it's like. The same with DV. It's easy to say you'd leave, but when you're in it, it's a lot different. Exactly. And I feel like, obviously, I'm so happy that Johnny Depp, you know, and his team put this whole thing out there for the world to see, because in a lot of ways, you have to admit that we do have this bias. There's this stigma that males cannot be in a DV situation. We always look at it as the women, we as women were vulnerable. And men, just, people don't look at it that way. So that's why not everyone, but a majority of people in the beginning wanted to take Amber Heard's word. They wanted to take her word for it. They wanted to basically believe, how could you ever deny the fact that a woman could be the abuser? And let me tell you guys, that man deserves a gold medal for being with someone like her for 5 years. I wasn't even with my abuser for that long, but someone came out and said it. So that's what I do want. I want to play this clip for you guys, and this is going to be the number one example that I'm going to show you about just of a narcissist in general. So hold on. You might hear things in the background because I don't know why. I have to fix my computer because when I screen record, it records the background of stuff. Shit, I don't know why. But I'm going to open this.
2016, right?
Hold on. That's actually the popular opinion. Many people believe JD. And I know they believe him now, but not in the very beginning. The Duchess of the Dutchness. Not in the very beginning. I'm talking about a majority of the people that believe him, obviously believe him now, and even believed him like in the middle. But in the very beginning, more people wanted to believe Amber Heard. Hey, SoCal Mega Pins, how are you, beautiful? Hey, is that girl? That girl, that better be you. Is that you?
Of course it's me.
Okay, well, you don't know.
Girl, I'm too boring for anybody to pretend to be me. Come on now.
I disagree.
You look beautiful.
Thank you. I want you to watch this clip with me.
Yes, ma'am. That's what I'm here to do.
And then tell me your opinion.
Okay. Now, you said this is what you feel like is one of your primary examples that shows her narcissism, correct?
Absolutely.
All right.
Let's do this.
Go. August of 2016, right?
That sounds right.
And in connection with that settlement, you received $7 million from Mr. Depp, true?
That's correct.
And then
6.8 exactly.
your settlement amount was $7 million.
That's correct.
And then you released a statement in which you claimed you would be donating the entire $7 million to charity, right?
That's correct.
You stated you would be donating half of the $7 million to the ACLU,
That's correct.
and you would be donating the other half to Children's Hospital of Los Angeles.
That is correct.
And you also stated, with respect to the $7 million divorce settlement, that money played no role except for the extent that you could donate the money to charity.
Yes, that's correct.
If we could please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 1259.
Okay. I'm going to stop it so I can say some stuff. Look at her face right here. If you've watched this trial, usually the whole time, you can tell her whole demeanor and disposition here. This is something that she did not want to be brought out. And also, you can also tell by Camille, I think the woman's a genius. I think this is probably
She's a pistol.
She is. I think this is probably one of the most greatest examples of a person incriminating themselves.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Directing your attention to the portion on the second page where it says, quote, read the statement below. Is that the statement you released, Ms. Heard?
That is correct.
Your Honor, I move to admit the statement and the article as redacted.
Objection, hearsay.
It's her statement.
This is not her statement.
She just testified, Your Honor, that it's her statement.
May I see the full?
Everything else is redacted.
Okay, then I have no objection.
All right, 1259 in evidence as redacted.
The statement reads, as described in the restraining order and divorce settlement, money played no role for me personally and never has, except to the extent that I could donate it to charity, and in doing so, hopefully help those less able to defend themselves. As reported in the media, the amount received in the divorce was $7 million, and $7 million is being donated. This is over and above any funds that I have given away in the past and will continue to give away in the future. Did I read that correctly?
That is correct. I don't remember that last line, but I have no, it doesn't stand out to me as wrong.
There's nothing inaccurate in the statement.
Not that I recognize, no.
She's lying. Okay, sorry.
Mr. Depp donated $100,000 of the divorce settlement directly to the ACLU. Is that right?
Right at the beginning of the divorce settlement, he donated $100,000 to each charity on my behalf or towards my contribution.
So $100,000
To each.
To the ACLU.
And to the Children's Hospital.
And in response, you publicly demanded that Mr. Depp pay the divorce settlement directly to you instead of the charities, right?
That was always the agreement, actually, is for him to pay me directly. It was not his money as per the settlement agreement to give away and reap a tax benefit from. I said if he wants to do it and give to charity all of a sudden, then he should pay the correct amount and not try to get a big tax break for it. So effectively for his tax bracket, he should be paying double that amount to the charity directly. And if he wanted to pay the charity directly, he could. He could do that, it was fine with me, but he would need to pay the adjusted amount.
Ultimately, the rest of the $7 million divorce settlement was paid directly to you, right?
Over time, yes.
And Mr. Depp didn't end up paying the rest of the $7 million divorce settlement directly to the charities you identified.
That is correct. He paid the installments to me.
You stopped that from happening, didn't you?
I don't understand what your question is. I'm sorry.
You stopped Mr. Depp from paying the charities that you had named directly.
That is incorrect. I said if you want to pay the charities directly, pay the adjusted amount, or pay as per our agreement in the settlement or in the divorce, as per our agreement.
You also
And he
publicly
chose to do the former, not the latter. I mean, the other way around.
You also publicly stated that the $7 million divorce settlement should be paid to the charities immediately in full, right?
If he wanted to pay it in the way that he was suggesting, yes.
And you said publicly that the payments to the charities should not be drawn out over many years, right?
I said that I don't recall the exact words that I used, but basically that he shouldn't use this as a novel interest in getting a tax break, that if he wanted to do that and not pay me the settlement, that was fine, but he would have to pay the adjusted amount and not make it, a commitment he would not fulfill or try to avoid in some other way.
And that's because you wanted the entire world to think that you were donating every penny of the $7 million divorce settlement as soon as you received it from Mr. Depp. Isn't that right?
No, I was going to be receiving it in installments, and I would be paying in installments the donations.
In fact, you released a statement in response to Mr. Depp's $100,000 donations to the ACLU and CHLA, didn't you?
I don't recall.
She's lying. One thing I want to say is right here. This is where she incriminates herself because she is such a conniving, manipulative person that she literally could not help but throw Johnny Depp under the bus, make him look like he's a horrible person because he's trying to reap the tax benefits of the settlement, right?
Yes, yes.
Now, had she kept her mouth shut, this part that Camille is about to do would not come into evidence. But the thing that bothers me the most is this part coming up, and it is the classic case of what I had to endure in a relationship, and it makes you mad.
Yeah.
Let me continue. Do you have anything to say, Goose? Welcome.
Hey, no, I'm just trying to control my anger.
Okay. Okay. Hold on.
Goose's
Okay.
new profile pic is Schmexy. Hey.
Who?
Oh, thanks.
Who has a new profile?
I've never seen that
She
profile
hasn't seen
pic.
this one. I guess it's
Oh,
because
okay.
Y'all
Yes.
know I'm always in a hole somewhere in left field.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's really cute.
thanks.
Let's see if we can refresh your recollection. If we could please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 1260. This is an article entitled Amber Heard and Johnny Depp Row Over Divorce Donations. And if I could direct your attention to where it says, I believe it's on the second page, her spokeswoman responded in a statement. The language that follows the statement you released.
Objection, hearsay, spokeswoman, it's not her.
A spokesperson is an exception, Your Honor.
You want to come forward?
Shut up, Elaine. Sorry, I knew I had a little just a second in there for
They're
this
trying to
objection.
keep this out.
See, even Johnny laughed.
Yeah. Is that what he's laughing about, though? You guys can talk while this is going. I mean, I don't care.
mean, I think that it was lots of things. I think they giggled about some inside jokes, and
Yeah.
he seems the kind to me to be like a smart ass.
Oh yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
Like,
You think? You
yeah,
read that correctly?
I could
A
see
mega
his,
pint.
I could see his usual demeanor being very irritating to a narcissist just naturally. You know what I mean?
Right.
Oh yeah.
'Cause he's kind of smug and
You
they don't
released
like
a statement
You're right, may
through.
we approach again?
Okay.
Elaine.
Yeah, she's trying to get this out. She doesn't want this to be admitted or this to be read out. And I also want to talk about this. This attorney is horrible. Like, I don't know what type of attorney sits there and talks about how they shouldn't have law. I don't know. She just,
Oh, you mean the interviews she did right the day after?
yes.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Yes, that was just
There-
horrible.
And then to try to blame like the jury and stuff, that was gross.
Yeah, she blamed the
Before we
jury.
ask the next question, I'll just hand you a copy of this one.
I want to see it before you ask.
That's what I'm saying. Okay. That's exactly what I said. Your Honor, would you like to see one as well?
No, that's all right. That's fine. Thank you.
Or asked that it be admitted in redacted form. I'm taking away any hearsay, and I'm just trying to lay the foundation that this is a statement she released through a spokesperson.
How would I know whether there's more to it that shouldn't be redacted, Your Honor, if I don't see the full document?
She's full of it.
Just like all the pics, the text and all that stuff that it would have been nice for Amber to have said.
Your Honor, the witness can testify as to whether this is a full statement or not.
The witness can't do. We have the right to be able to see the document.
All right. Do you have a document that's not redacted?
We can pull it up on our computers.
Okay.
Just give us a moment, Your Honor.
All right.
I can represent this is the full statement that's reported.
Okay, give her an opportunity to look at the unredacted one.
Like that really matters.
And you know, right now, Amber's going, yeah, nice work, Elaine. At least she's not going, I'm trying.
Goose knows this case a lot. I don't know everything about everything. I just know she's a narcissist. That's all I know. She wasn't in an abusive relationship. Oh my God. Hold on, you guys.
It's so funny how the sun
Yeah,
starts to like shine in on Camille. It's like like the gates of heaven open up, and all of a sudden it's like,
Am I the only one that thinks that, like, after all this and seeing how she behaved on the stand and everything else, like, just thinks Amber Heard is so ugly? Like, I do not find her physical attractive. Like, she looks like, you know, she kind of reminds me of, even right here. You know, the teacher that dated her student and they had those kids?
Yes.
oh,
Don't they look alike?
yes,
What's her name?
yes, she died. She
Mary
married
Letourneau. Yeah.
Mary Kay Letourneau.
Yes.
Yeah, I think she was in Washington, right?
Don't she look like her?
Yeah, she does.
Yes, she
And
does
it's
right there.
crazy. And I'm pretty sure, like, a lot of people can say that her looks started fading a lot during this trial. I used to think Amber Heard was very pretty.
In the last few years, even, I think it's all the booze and nose candy, man. It's aging the face.
Just go look at it's crazy because even it's kind of sad too, because if you look at if you just go and look at both of them when they first got together and then look at them at the end of the relationship and then look at them now, it's like it's just insane. I mean, there's a bit of a difference obviously from like the beginning to like when they separated, but then from the separation until now, it's crazy.
Right. Okay, it's almost done here.
Later today. Okay.
Right.
All
I mean, I think she should be giving us copies of the full.
Well, I understand, but we'll take care of that. But
okay.
As of right now, can we continue?
We can, Your Honor, but I have an objection.
Oh my God.
Okay, come forward.
How many objections? They're trying to keep this out. That's what they're doing. Because she's a liar. And I feel like this is the part where this is the part where the jury seen her for who she truly is. Look at her.
Yep. Especially because in the UK, that's when
So directing your attention, Ms. Heard.
I'll tell you later.
She literally lied under oath, and she's about to prove it.
Right.
So directing your attention, Ms. Heard, where it says her spokeswoman responded in a statement. The language that follows.
Your Honor, again, she can't read it. She has to show it.
The language that follows.
Right. If you want to lay a foundation to that, go ahead.
You released a statement after Mr. Depp donated $100,000 to the ACLU and $100,000 to CHLA. Correct, Ms. Heard?
I think so, yes.
Okay. And the language that follows is the statement you released in response to Mr. Depp's donations, right?
I don't know if this is the official statement. I have no idea.
The statement that starts
Objection,
at
Your Honor.
Amber Heard. That's the only thing I'm going to say. Would you please read that to yourself, Ms. Heard?
She's saying I don't know too, because she knows trials enough, and she knows that like an attorney can object and say like she's clearly saying she doesn't know, to try to get it so Camille can't read it. So I think at one point she does end up saying like, yeah, this is it. And so then that gives Camille the okay to go ahead and read it. Is it paused?
Yeah, no, not now.
Yes.
Did you read all the way to the very bottom where the last word is supported?
Yes.
Okay. That's the statement you released through your spokeswoman after Mr. Depp made the donations to the CHLA and the ACLU. Correct, Ms. Heard?
I do not recall exactly what my statement was.
She's full.
I don't disagree with anything in the statement, but I just simply don't recall what the statement was we released.
Is there anything inaccurate in that statement, Ms. Heard?
No.
Okay. I'm going to move to admit.
Objection, Your Honor, lack of foundation.
I'll overrule the objection. 1260 in evidence over objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. Statement reads, Amber Heard appreciates Johnny Depp's novel interest in supporting two of her favorite charities, the ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union for Domestic Violence, and the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. This is great and unexpected news. And it continues. However, if Johnny wishes to change the settlement agreement, we must insist that he honor the full amount by donating $14 million to charity, which, after accounting for his tax deduction, is equal to his $7 million payment obligation to Amber. And it continues. We would also insist that the full amount be paid immediately and not drawn out over many years. Anything less would be a transparent attempt by Johnny's counsel, Laura Wasser and Patty Glazer, to reduce their client's true payment by half under the guise of newfound concern for charities that he has never previously supported, end quote. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
Thank you. After this, you kept commenting about the donation of your divorce settlement, right?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Okay. You spoke about donating your divorce settlement on a Danish TV show, correct?
I believe I said I had, I believe I said I donated it to charity, but it was already printed or already commented on and stated in the press. I had already released that information in the press. I think I just confirmed it on that show.
You appeared on a show called RTL Late Night, right?
I don't recall what show it was.
You're such a liar.
If you could please play Plaintiff's Exhibit 346, which is a portion of your appearance on this program. And we would ask that it be moved into evidence and ask for permission to publish it.
It has hearsay, it contains other communications with other individuals.
Your Honor, if we may approach very briefly.
How many times have they approached?
Oh, I watched every single second of this trial, plus like rewatched parts a bunch, and there was so many times. But so Judge A, her last name, I'm not going to try to pronounce, but she likes to keep the objections like more private. So instead of having like speaking objections, so that's why like she does want people to come up. She does want the lawyers to come up and do a sidebar, but she doesn't want them like to constantly do it. And that's why like probably lots of people have heard the objection hearsay song. It's like something that was created for this trial just because of how many times like Rottenborn and
Well,
Elaine
I know
would.
Camille has too. She's objected a lot too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but her
They
points.
both do.
I feel like her points were valid why she objected. This right here is just them trying to keep this out of evidence, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, for sure. They don't want people to know that she was like, all 7 million was donated.
She's a liar.
I didn't want anything.
Yeah.
Oh, I used donate and
Don't say-
anonymously.
Hold on. I'm gonna fast forward this because it's almost done.
That allegedly were.
So if we could please play and publish to the jury Plaintiff's Exhibit 346.
346 in evidence. Go.
There allegedly
Or
were all
she
kinds of
also reminds
accusations
me of Kate
flying
Plus
your
eight.
way when you.
Yes. Yes. He looks just like her.
Without the can I speak to your manager haircut, right?
Right.
Wait, who did you say?
The
Kate
lady
Plus
from
eight.
Kate Plus 8. Kate
Oh my
Dawson.
god, yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Same bitchy
with that.
look too.
Wait, I would never have thought that.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
I was
said
like,
all this, and then there was a divorce.
There's some parts that are paused in here. That, I don't know why. It might be because they didn't want the public to hear. I'm not sure.
$7 million in total was donated to, I split it between the ACLU and Children's Hospital of Los Angeles.
ACLU is a human rights organization.
Sorry, ACLU is a prominent organization, nonprofit organization in the United States. It's called the American Civil Liberties Union, and they work on behalf of marginalized communities on the ground and in legislative reform. And
Well, more power to you, because that's something that I've never heard
I wanted
of.
nothing.
Cardi B is your girl. Get out. That's me in the background.
Liar.
Yeah, that's why we talk about her all the time.
This interview was in October of 2018, right,
you
Ms.
did.
Heard?
I don't recall when it was.
It was in 2018, right, Ms. Heard?
I don't remember when this was done.
This was after you had received the full $7 million of your divorce settlement from Mr. Depp, wasn't it?
Again, without knowing when it was recorded, I have no idea.
The $7 million divorce settlement was paid to you in full.
Somebody say something?
I was just gonna say, and she had like attorneys and therapists and everything try to push that like Johnny Depp had a bad memory. Like, come on.
Yeah.
She can't remember anything.
Obviously, yeah, we'll talk about this after.
By February of 2018, right?
That's correct.
Let's take a look at Defendant's Exhibit 1458, which is already in evidence. This is the deal point memorandum from your divorce settlement, right, Ms. Heard?
Yes, that's what it looks like.
And if we go down to the bottom of page 4, there's a heading labeled equalization payment. Do you see that?
Yes.
And underneath,
Yeah, that's certain parts that are paused. I'm not sure why. That's not me, that's them. But it's almost
probably
over.
about bank account information or
Yeah, right.
addresses, private information.
Right.
so the first payment is scheduled for August 31st, 2016, and that's $200,000, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Mr. Depp's accountant, Edward White, testified that he made that payment directly.
You got to turn on your microphone, Ms. Berderhoff. I'm not going to hear you.
Objection to her testifying to what Mr. White testified to that.
Okay.
It's a he literally testified to it in court.
All overruled objection. Go
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Depp's accountant, Edward White, testified that he made the payment directly to the ACLU and CHLA, correct?
I believe so.
Can
were
I
all made
just
to you,
say,
weren't they?
for this attorney, for the other attorneys, she's probably told her that she needs to turn her microphone on 50,000 times throughout this case. Just to say that.
That is
Yeah,
correct.
there's
And the
even
final
a time when
payment
Amber
of
tells her to.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
$2.3 million is on February 1st, 2018, right?
The final payment, yes.
And you were here in court when Mr. White testified that the payments were all made on schedule.
I'm going to object to her testifying to what Mr. White testified to. It's an
Overrule the
improper.
objection. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. And you were here in court when Mr. White testified that the payments were all made on schedule, right?
I don't believe they were. He might have
That's
testified
not my
to
question, Ms. Heard. My question was, you were here in court when Mr. White testified under oath that all the payments were made on schedule.
that. I was here every day in court. I heard his testimony, yes.
Okay. So back to October of 2018, this was before Mr. Depp sued you for defamation, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
He didn't sue you until after the op-ed came out in December of 2018, right?
He sued me in 2019.
And the op-ed came out in December of 2018.
That is correct.
So in October of 2018, you had received your entire $7 million divorce settlement. You would agree with me?
That is correct.
Okay. And you hadn't yet been sued by Mr. Depp.
This is October, correct.
So in this October 2018 interview, you said that you had, quote, donated, end quote, your entire divorce settlement to charity, right?
That's correct.
And in fact, your exact words were, quote, $7 million in total was donated to, I split it between the ACLU and the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, end quote, right?
That's correct. I made that statement as soon as I got a divorce and we reached the settlement. That's when I pledged it, right then.
And you say this because you, quote, wanted nothing, end quote.
That is correct.
But you hadn't donated your entire $7 million settlement to charity at that point, had you?
That's incorrect.
Sitting here today, Ms. Heard, you still haven't donated the $7 million divorce settlement to charity. Isn't that right?
Incorrect. I pledged the entirety of the
Ms. Heard,
settlement, $7
that's
million
not my
to
question.
charity, and I
Ms. Heard,
intend to
Ms.
fulfill
Heard,
those obligations.
Ms. Heard, that's not my question. Please,
What was
try to
your
answer
question?
my question. Sitting here today, you have not donated the $7 million, donated, not pledged, donated the $7 million divorce settlement to charity.
I use pledge and donation synonymous with one another. They're
But I
the same
don't.
thing.
Ms. Heard, I don't use it synonymously.
That's how donations are paid.
Ms. Heard, respectfully, that's not my question. As of today, you have not paid $3.5 million of your own money to the ACLU. Yes or no?
I have not yet.
And as of today, you have not paid $3.5 million of your own money to the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, correct?
I have not yet. Johnny sued me.
So as of today, you have not donated, paid $7 million of your divorce settlement to charity, right?
I have not been able to fulfill those obligations yet.
And that's because you did want something, didn't you?
I didn't want anything and I didn't get anything.
You wanted Mr. Depp's money.
Didn't get it, wasn't interested in it. I loved Johnny, that's why I was with him.
You wanted praise for donating the money, right?
That's incorrect.
You wanted good press.
In general, one does want good press, yes.
You wanted to seem altruistic publicly.
Wasn't my interest. My interest is in my name and clearing my name, and at the time I was being called a liar and my motives were being questioned. I did see it as important to clear that up. I wanted to make a statement to make sure that there was not any doubt that I couldn't be labeled these things just because Johnny was a bigger star and had more publicity reach.
You wanted to remind everyone of your claims of domestic violence against Mr. Depp, right?
No, I wanted to move on with my life.
You wanted to make those claims seem believable.
They are believable. They were
You wanted
believable.
them to be seen, you wanted to be seen, excuse me, as a noble victim of domestic violence,
I
didn't
have
you?
never wanted to be seen as a victim. Nor have
You-
I ever called myself one.
You testified under oath that, quote, the entirety of your divorce settlement was donated to charity, end quote, didn't you?
That's correct. I pledged the entirety.
No. Ms. Heard, my questions. Your counsel will have time to redirect you after. You testified under oath, quote, the entirety of your divorce settlement was donated to charity, end quote.
That is correct. I pledged the entirety.
I'm going to move to strike everything after yes.
All right.
No. Ms. Hurt, this is really inappropriate.
I'll sustain the objection and we'll just move forward.
Thank you.
Let's move forward. Next question.
Under oath, that statement wasn't true, was it, Ms. Hurd?
I'm sorry, I don't follow your question. Sorry.
You testified under oath, quote, the entirety of my divorce settlement was donated to charity, end quote. That statement wasn't true.
It is true. I pledged the entirety to charity.
The statement...
When you say you buy a house, you don't pay
Ms.
for the
Hurd,
entire
Ms.
house
Hurd,
at one time.
respectfully,
You pay it
I'm
over
not
time.
asking, Ms. Hurd.
All right. Next question, please.
Thank you.
A donation to charity is absolutely nothing like buying a house.
Right?
Like, they're not even remotely close to the same.
She thinks she can just gaslight the jury, though.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what's going on.
That statement isn't true today, as you sit here today, is it?
It is true. I pledged the entirety.
But you
to
didn't
charity.
donate it.
Unfortunately,
You didn't donate it. It's a yes or no.
I haven't been able to to fulfill those
So that's a no, right,
obligations.
Ms. Hurd?
I made the pledge. I want to be very clear. I pledged the entirety. I haven't been able to fulfill those pledges because I've been sued.
You had all of the $7 million for 13 months before Mr. Depp sued you, and you chose not to pay it to the charities you pledged it to. Is that correct, Ms.
I
Hurd?
disagree with your characterization of that.
Oh, shut up.
Let's look at your sworn testimony from the UK.
What does that even mean?
She's just trying to cover.
That's what I was thinking, AJ. No tax write-offs on a house. Unless it's a gift.
I appreciate that.
Whoa.
Ms. Vasquez, do you want me to close the shades?
That would be
Okay. There's this light coming across.
I appreciate that.
Has to be a
It's
little-
probably good light. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
This is your third witness statement that you submitted in the UK action, right, Ms. Hurd?
Correct.
And this statement was made under oath, true?
That is true.
I'm directing your attention to the last page of that statement. That's your signature, right?
Yes, it is.
So you made this sworn statement on February 26, 2020.
That's correct.
And directing your attention to paragraph 4. It says, quote, I remained financially independent from him the whole time we were together, and the entire amount of my divorce settlement was donated to charity, end quote.
That is correct.
Did I read that correctly?
Yes, you did.
The him you were referring to is Mr. Depp.
That is correct.
Most of the money that was donated to the ACLU and CHLA in your name came from someone.
The glitches in the Matrix keep messing with me.
Tia, I think you're muted.
Oh, she's definitely muted. I can see it on the screen.
My bad. Sorry.
I could see it too, but I didn't want to.
My bad. Sorry, you guys.
It's okay, Goose. I will.
Yeah. The reason why I chose this particular clip is because this is literally what it's like to be with a narcissist. When you're wrong, or let's just say you're in an argument with your partner and that your partner's a narcissist, they will literally word salad you and gaslight you to a point where you'll be apologizing for something that you didn't even do.
You know what I call it? Spin fuck logic.
Right. Right.
I used to get so mad with my ex. I'd be like, don't come at me with your spin fuck logic. Like,
right.
It's pretzel logic. You know, it just is. Oh, it's hard. It's hard to deal with. But you're right. That's exactly what that was.
Because she literally was trying to convince this woman that pledge and donate means the exact same thing or synonymously with each other.
Well, and then tried to say that it was their fault for suing her.
Right. She said
that's why she had not fulfilled it. Basically.
Right. She said, I couldn't fulfill it. Johnny sued me.
Yeah.
Goose?
Sorry, I had muted because there was a motorcycle going by.
That's okay. So what did you think as far as the narcissism part of this? Is that blatant to you, that particular?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because with a narcissist, they just like, I used to always joke around and explain to people, it's like a narcissistic boxer would be like deflect, you know, instead of like punch, jab, or whatever, it's like deflect, project, because they just deflect from whatever you're asking them, and then they project their behavior onto you. And that's exactly what she does numerous times in this relationship. Hold on.
I think
numerous times.
I think we got a good look into what it is like to have an argument with her, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
She was obviously much calmer in the scenario because she was on the stand.
Right. That's what I'm saying. She's a violent woman. Let's be clear here. And there was a point where Camille walked up to her, and I swear she wanted to punch her. I swear.
Oh, yeah. The looks on her face at times, she was just like, you know, she was going, ooh, bitch. Like, you know, that's what she's thinking, like when she's sitting there. And I was going to mention another thing too, with the ACLU. One of the things that she tried to say was like, oh, it's her favorite organization. But the Art of Elysium, it was actually where she had done more donations, and like that's who the gal who founded that organization, that's where her sister Whitney, that's who she went to live with. And when things started getting really bad with Amber, and so there was a deposition done that came in during the trial where the gal spoke. I think her name was Jennifer Howell, and she spoke about how you know, they really thought that Amber was going to donate some to the Art of Elysium just because of like how close that organization was to her, and it was small, and so it really could use the money a lot more than the ACLU. But she switched to the ACLU because when she went in and claimed DV, then she had like this bigger company or bigger organization that could like back her. So it was all done. It was all a like publicity stunt basically to use them.
To be like that noble victim of domestic violence, right?
Yep.
And another thing too, where I want to get into what I also want to talk about with Johnny Depp is my unpopular opinion. And you guys can give your opinion as well, even as far as when it comes to relationships in general, because in my opinion, I don't necessarily feel bad for Johnny Depp. My position stands where I just feel like with him, he had a very, very good woman. I don't know, obviously, the whole dynamics of their relationship, but I do know that she's the mother of his children. They have 2 children together, and he was with her for a very long time. Now, I don't know for sure if he cheated on her with Amber Heard. I'm not 100% on that, but I did hear he did, that he cheated on his baby's mom with Amber Heard. And you have to understand, he was with the mother of his children for, I think, over 5 years, maybe even
14,
longer.
14 years.
14 years he was with her, never married her, said he was against marriage. He meets Amber Heard, and he was only with her for not that long when he married her. And this comes in where I believe in karma. And I
AJ
believe,
says that they were divorced. Johnny was single for a while, and then he met Heard.
Well, they were never married. A lot of people think that they were married, but they he was never married to his children's mother.
I know zero about Johnny's personal
yeah,
life, so I'm
no.
just going to take y'all's word for it.
Yeah, he was never married to, that's the point is that he never married the mother of his children. And I feel like when you have a good woman, like I said, nobody knows what goes on behind closed doors, but when you have a good woman and you have children with her, I do truly feel if you've been with her for 14 years, do right by her. Why not marry her? But then you marry someone that this trash bag that comes along in your life, and you marry her, and look at what you had to endure. Look at what you had to deal with. And I believe in karma. And I believe that even with anyone who is in a relationship and you've been with somebody for a long period of time, and if you believe in marriage, you should get married. You should want to marry the mother of children, in my opinion. If she wants to get married, if it's a mutual feeling between the two of you, you should. And to me, I feel like in a lot of ways, even though it's wrong on so many levels what he's going through, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, I do believe that everyone gets their karma, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. I think he just fell smitten with her because he was still with Vanessa, and then she was still with Tasha, and so they had that kiss, and during the filming of the movie that they were in, and he talks about how it just I could tell that there were sparks there, and then they both went their separate ways after that, but he ended up allegedly sending her a guitar, trying to send her a guitar, and then it's weird because if you see interviews with Amber where she talks about him either during the filming or after, when they went around, not the actual premiere, but when they do the promotion of the film before it comes out, she's talking so highly of him. And then, and also her voice. I don't know if anybody has noticed just how different her voice is, but it's weird. She was oh yeah, Johnny. Just very high pitched, little girl voice. And
part of that is manipulation, and the other part is inebriation, if you ask me.
Well, and I also think it's because cocaine was a big thing, was a big drug of choice for her.
That's what I mean by inebriation. Yep. She was not sober.
Yeah. And that can change too. I have a friend who actually, her voice changed, and she actually used to sing, and she can't even sing now because of snorting so much nose candy. And so she just
nose candy, I like that.
I realized
better than the other.
I realized after I said that, I was probably shouldn't have said that. But it changed her voice. Her voice is a lot lower now too. And she can't really sing anymore either. Yeah, and Amber's is the same way. So
yeah.
That's what's aged her.
Probably.
And the alcohol, I mean, if you just look at people who are drink a lot.
Well, and the tanning and the lying and the everything else. I mean, she does not have enough melanin in her skin to live a hard life and it not show very quickly.
Yeah.
True.
And I think she's done some stuff with her face too. Because one thing that's weird, anybody else notice in court, the way she does she allegedly maybe got some cheek implants.
Yeah.
And
I think it's how she's doing her blush, though. I want to say hi real quick because I shared this screen. What's up, Perfectly and Captain, and
thank you guys,
AJ and Christina and everybody.
Hey, Captain, Christina, AJ, thank you guys for showing up. It's not
perfectly
drama.
busted in with some busted in with the facts as always. They separated before her, and the
Yeah.
ex had issues because he wanted to move back to France, and she
Mhm.
should probably be up here instead of me because she is like, she knows this like Goose does. I bet.
Well, the link, I can put down the link if anybody else wants to come up. But
Perfectly, you should totally come up here and talk to these girls.
yeah, if anybody else wants to come up, you're welcome to. But I'm just saying, I don't feel that bad for him. I feel bad that he went through that and he endured it, but I do believe it's his karma because I believe he was. I'm going to link Lovely T. Lovely T is a creator here on YouTube, and her perspective on this is spot on, in my opinion, about why she feels that Johnny Depp, she thinks that Amber Heard is like his Jezebel.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. If you
Because
know
if he'd never left Vanessa, then he wouldn't have ended up in this situation with Amber. Like maybe, he would have ended up with somebody else or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, this was like the extreme of the extreme that could happen.
Well, I think also that you have to take into account that due to her narc tendencies, they're super good at mirroring. And when they have a mark, which I think it's very obvious why she would put a mark on somebody like Depp, especially knowing he was already infatuated with her.
Yeah.
When they have a mark, they can be whoever their mark needs them to be to get to that trusted position. And that's what starts, of course, like your romance honeymoon phase. And then once they have projected themselves to be everything you've ever needed, in this case that Vanessa probably wasn't, and they get you really hooked, then when they do their crazy pretzel logic shit, they can still reel you back in because the first thing you knew was that ideal. And I think that they're very good at being whoever they're around, whoever that person needs them to be, no matter, what kind of relationship it is.
Yeah, they're great chameleons. Like that's how my ex was. Like I was like super brokenhearted, not looking for anybody to date. Like where I live, you can get divorced within 90 days. And so my divorce had just gone through like on, I think it was June 29th. And I met my daughter's father on July 3rd. And it was almost kind of like at first, it was just kind of crazy how like I'd never been with somebody who was like texting so much and calling so much and like just so complimentary and like, and then like it got to be like the first week, it actually got to be too much. And I was like, whoa. Like, I don't think this is going to work out because I felt smothered. Like, he would show up to my work and I'm like, yeah, sorry. But, yeah. So I called him and I like, basically was like, yeah, I don't think it's going to work. And then, he takes a step back and they are so good too at like building you up. And then once they get you to where you trust them all the way, it's like, they just slowly break you down.
Yep. Absolutely. Captain, you're 100% right. I always say that about Lovely T.I. Lovely T.I. is gorgeous. She is a Black creator here on YouTube. And she's amazing. She still hasn't hit 1 million yet, and she's been on here for maybe 5 to 6 years, maybe longer. No,
you've sent me her content before.
Yeah, she is amazing.
It's crazy how she's like stuck. Like
she's just stuck at that number. It's so
it's like 900. It's like 900 and like 60 or 80,000. I think was the last time that I looked at it. But I was like, oh my gosh, I swear she was at this like 8 months ago.
She was.
She just needs to hit a good lick and she'll break the number.
It just, in her opinion, because she's a conspiracy theorist, but that's a whole other story for a different day as far as Black creators are concerned. But she's amazing. She's amazing. And her whole perspective on this, and like I said, Johnny Depp seems like a very beautiful soul. He really does. He seems very, I'm sure he's not perfect, but he just seems very patient. You would have to be with somebody like her, right?
Yeah.
Right. Well, and given the way that he was raised too, like I think that, he did at first because like, like you guys were saying, like they're so like attentive and just like, I mean, they're literally like perfect. Like they give off that whole like knight, sometimes people will say it's like they're like your knight in shining
They
armor.
give off whatever you need.
Yep.
Exactly. It's true. Same thing with my ex. I just got out of a relationship and he came in at the perfect moment.
Mm-hmm.
Just
They normally strike when you're weak. That's
exactly.
for sure.
When
if you
you're
remember, that's exactly what Shanann said about Chris.
Yeah, she did.
He met me at my worst and and
exactly
my knight in shining armor. When I had a headache, he'd hold it for 4 hours so I could lay on his lap, and he went to my colonoscopy with me and all of the things. And then boom.
That's when they're like the nicest too, because like so like when you first meet them, it's like that first month,
honeymoon phase.
Yeah, and it's just like kind of crazy. And then next thing you know, like 6 months in or so, you're like, anytime you want to go see a girlfriend, it's not even like you want to go out to a club by yourself with a girl or something like that. You just want to go to a girlfriend's house, sit down, watch a movie, or go out to get some lunch, get some dinner, whatever. And it's like, oh, but I'm gonna miss you, I want to spend some time with you. And then like it's funny because with abuse, a lot of people are, you get isolated. People who have been it know what I'm talking about. And it doesn't happen all at once.
Isolate you.
Yeah.
Because if you're not isolated, then they can't
manipulate you and
fully, and they can't actually use you to the level that they need to.
Right.
Yeah.
And
if you're not isolated. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you think about it, like besides Depp's like security guards, like just kind of think about like he moves in Amber to the penthouse, then he moves in Amber's friends, he moves in Amber's sister, he moves in Amber's other friend Io, like all these people move in, like, and that's so rare for an extreme abuser to do that, take you on trips and take your family and your in-laws, and I mean not your family but maybe his sister on occasion, but and then sometimes his kids depending on the trip, but usually it was like Amber and her parents and her friends and then his bodyguards. So it's no wonder that he has become so close with his bodyguards, because those are like the only friends that he had during certain times. And I wanted to just touch on one thing. So I think a lot of people know that when JD's mom passed away, that was kind of like his epiphany, his moment where he was like, oh my gosh, I can't live like this, and so he called up Amber and said, I want to go, I think we should part ways, but we'll write a statement. We won't say like, we hate each other or anything like that. We'll do it amicably. It'll be, it'll be fine. Everything will be fine. And then of course she's, wants to see him, because that's how an abuser works. They need to get you there one more time so they can manipulate you. Because I mean, I even moved my ex's stuff out multiple times when he was gone out of my house, and then he would come back and I'd fall for it and move his stuff right back in. And but I feel like that was another like mistake that he made. And I guess I'm saying this so that if anybody is ever in a situation like this and you do get to the point where you want to leave, not only is that the most dangerous, but you don't want to tell your abuser what your plan is. Because I feel like if JD had just left, and he obviously wasn't familiar with this and didn't know what to do, but if he had just left and gone and filed himself, then if she had then gone in and said DV stuff, it would have been different. Like, he still would have had to go through some things, but for her to be able to be, make him be the reaction, like the reactionary person, that made things more difficult. And because you kind of need to just like sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Like for me, I couldn't tell my daughter's father. Like we just literally on my 3 days after a really bad thing happened, we basically my daughter's father thought that we were going to like a Christmas breakfast thing with my mom, and it was on a Wednesday on December 10th of 2014, and my mom came and picked us up, and it was one of the only ways that my ex would let me leave with my daughter, who then was just 2 months. She was just 2 years and 1 month old, 25 months old. And so I get all dressed up, and little did he know we were actually just going to the next town where my mom lived, where there was an advocate there waiting for us to help me fill out DVPO paperwork. And then we went to the courthouse, but I had everything kind of set up. So he thought we were going to this breakfast thing. And then after that, he thought I had like therapy scheduled. And so I had this time from like, say 9:30 until like 1:00, and court was at 1. So, as soon as 1:00 hits and he knows I'm done with this stuff I'm supposedly doing, he's just calling, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? And, if you don't make a plan like that to get out, and just try to tell them.
Basically, if a narcissist always is going to try to beat you to the punch. They are always going to try to beat you to tell a different story than your truth. Like, even with my ex, once I stopped caring about what he would say to me when we split up, then that's when he started doing this smear campaign on me and started trying to change the way others seen me.
Up his game, yeah.
Like, she's this, she's that. I mean, he would go to anybody who knew me. I mean, he would even talk to our son's doctor, and say, she's this, she's that. And it's crazy because it's almost their paranoia, because I would never speak about him in that way to just random people.
Right.
But anybody that knew me, he always made sure that he would beat me to the punch, even though I had no intentions of ever smearing him, because I have to think about our child. So because I had no intentions of smearing him, his paranoia, he wanted to make sure that everybody saw me as this horrible person and this horrible mother. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because you just want to get away. It's like you would just give anything just to just tell somebody like, oh, things didn't work out. Because at the end of the day, like, it's embarrassing when you end up, because I'll just say, like, I always thought, like, if someone put their hands on me and abused me, I would leave in a heartbeat. Screw that person. Fuck it. I'm leaving. I'm out. Like, but then when it happens and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, it'll never happen again. And like, you believe them. And then, there's like, you think it's never going to happen again. And then the next time it's maybe not as bad or whatever, and it's crazy. And yeah, the smear campaign stuff, I mean, oh my God, it's awful.
I noticed whenever I kicked mine out and would pack his stuff, when he would be weaseling his way back in, he would kind of cement me not having as much courage to do it in the future by making preemptive threats. And like, even though he was the one who had fucked everything up and put me to that point, he'd be like, well, you're the one who put my stuff out. Guilt me. And so I think that even if you have a plan and they don't know anything about it, if you waver from your convictions for even 5 minutes, that's all it takes, man. Those bastards. I swear that's all it takes, is just 5 minutes of doubting yourself. And that's enough for the cycle to repeat. It was super frustrating and took me about 8 years to catch on to.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's like when you catch them in a lie too, like, I mean, the things that somebody can say to you, like,
mine didn't really lie a lot. Mine was more like something AJ said earlier. He would just like try to get me to have an argument. Like, it could be over nothing. He wanted to debate and argue.
Yes, the debating.
Everything. And like, to the point where I was like, I'm never discussing music with you again. Like, I don't want to talk about music with you ever again. You make me hate music. And he was like, well, I didn't know I made you feel that way. And I wanted to say, bullshit. That's how you've been trying to make me feel for years now.
Right.
Yeah, they have to be right about everything. They can't be wrong about anything. They can't take accountability for anything. They will apologize, but they don't ever mean that they're sorry, because you can tell.
He liked to explain to me why I felt, oh, well, you like that because of this, or that's appealing to you because of this. Like, he always tried to make me feel like he knew why I felt something or thought something more than I even did, which was absolutely asinine.
Yeah.
even
Now
when they
that I'm saying
apologize,
it, but
even when they apologize somehow or
yep.
some way, it's I'm sorry, but you made me do it.
Well, and that's
And
what he did to me with the, but
yeah,
you're the one who put my stuff out.
right.
Like we
Yep.
wouldn't be
You're the one
having
that
to
got
do
me this
this
mad. You
and
shouldn't
go
have said
through
that.
it. And,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
or you don't understand because when I was a kid, so it's a trigger. Like I don't give a damn. You're a full grown man. Like
Exactly.
sever the teeth and grow up. Like, I've noticed that the narcissist I've really been involved with had severe mommy issues. Ugh,
Oh yeah. Or they were
Jesus.
like picked on.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't experience that with them, but definitely familial issues for sure.
I think mine was definitely like he ended up, I guess, supposedly, allegedly, he was the class clown, but I think it was because he was like picked on a lot and kind of goofy, and so that like worked out for him because then he could get attention and like not be known as like a weirdo because it ended up being like more of a cool thing. But I just noticed AJ's comment that's posted, and that is literally exactly what my daughter's father did. To the point that I didn't even know he was like, not to get too personal, but I was going to talk about this at some point anyways, but he literally like followed my cycle and
Oh yeah.
got me
They do
drunk one
that.
night, and like we'll just say I didn't want to do things, and afterwards I was like, get off me, blah blah blah, and he's like, I know I just got you pregnant, and I was like, shut up, and he's like, yeah, he's like, well, today's the 11th day of your period.
To know those kind of things, to keep track of that is
Yep.
just that's not normal. I
Yeah.
mean, I guess some men do. I don't know. Mine doesn't.
Well,
But
and I know
No,
he did
honey,
it
that
too.
shit's not normal. Unless you're
Yeah.
trying to conceive and he's soaking his balls in warm water, like all the things to get the babies made. The only time that is normal is if you have had fertility problems or are actively trying to
yeah.
conceive a child.
Yeah.
Or
And
if maybe you have a disease process that makes that time very hard on you and they know they'll have to be off work and stuff. That would be the only way that would be normal.
Right.
Yeah, just
Controlling.
But yeah, going to court, like, because he talked me into even going, like, I'm so sorry. I'm sitting outside because I don't want my daughter to hear what I'm talking about.
Thank you
That's
for
okay.
doing that. I think more parents should protect their children from theyese kinds of things.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Captain,
in bed now, but I still just didn't want. The one thing I've done is I've never ever said anything negative about her dad, and I left a long time ago. Like I actually still have an active DBPO even now.
Yeah.
And but I've just tried really, really hard to not say anything negative, because at the end of the day, even though he was found to have committed acts of violence and stuff, not just with me, but with his ex-wife, like if I would have married him, I actually would have been his fourth wife, which is not, I guess, uncommon for abusers.
No, it's not.
But he talked me into going back to work because I bought a house that there was a big portion of it that wasn't finished yet. And he had a construction business, which he's not a good contractor. I learned that the hard way. And so when I finally got out, he made it look like he was the primary caretaker. And he wasn't. Like I paid a nanny to come and take care of my daughter when I went to work. So then he would be working on this big, it was basically like half the size of my house. And so he'd be working on that. And then I had this gal taking care of me. And he, like, talk about the smear campaign. He told the judge that these checks I'd written were checks for drugs. He told the judge that I hit my daughter with 3 blows as hard as I could when she was 18 months old. I don't even spank my daughter. Like, that's not something that I would even do. But he knew that would get to me. He told the judge that I threatened to cut myself in front of her and kill myself in front of her, that I tried to drive my car into a pole one time. Like, I mean, anything you could think of. And then the worst thing that he did, and I knew, like, because they will try to do whatever to get you to stay. And he,
welcome,
one day,
gentlemen.
he, like, he would threaten to call the cops and say, well, if you leave, I'm going to call the cops and tell them that, you know, you're acting suicidal, because then they're going to pick you up.
My ex actually started punching himself in the fucking face and called 911 as he started beating his face into the door frame.
See,
There
and
was
that's
no,
what, like,
if you do this, I'm going to call. He's like, watch, literally said, watch this bitch.
Yeah.
Called 911 and started beating the bloody hell out of himself.
Oh my God.
He took
I
it too
mentioned-
far, though. They could tell by looking at me that I had not laid a hand on anything.
right,
My
your knuckles would
weren't
be all red
busted.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, there was nothing. Like, it was insane. Like, oh my God. I was just like, that was one of the times I knew. Yeah, that was one of the times I knew. They actually took him to the drunk tank for the night, and I knew that I was in
thank God.
big, deep shit.
Holy crap.
That time. I knew that time I was in trouble.
It's scary when people do that, because that's literally so crazy. Like, I've said to people in chats at times about this Amber stuff, because they're like, well, how did she get a bruise? And I'm like, first off, you don't even know if it was actually like a real bruise or not. You don't know if it was makeup or not. You know, maybe she actually had a bruise when she went on that one show, because the gal talked about covering it up, and you would think if it was makeup, she would have noticed it was makeup. But like, crazy people will do crazy stuff. They'll find something in their house and smack themselves in the face. I remember one of my girlfriends telling me one time about this guy. He took a remote control and smacked himself in the like, you know, kind of by the eye to try to give himself a black eye with it. And I'm just like,
AJ, you're right. He actually got diagnosed with that as well. Later on, when he went for treatment, and we were just friends at that point, he went for treatment and they diagnosed him with sociopathy, and he cried.
Absolutely.
He cried because he said, you realize they can't fix me, right? And I just said, honey, I knew that a long time ago.
Yeah.
Thank God you got, oh God. Like, it is so toxic.
I'm telling you, it was off and on for 8 years. That's how strong the hold was. And because he would do things to hurt himself, and he would call me in the middle of the night after it had been a few weeks crying, and he'd literally be barefoot bloody on the side of the freaking highway. And so I felt obligated to go pick him up because I didn't want him to die, you know, and it was just, oh, I can't even.
We'll have to get more into that one day as far as like those.
Yeah, privately we totally can. Yeah, there's some things that I will never share on this platform. That I'm just,
I know what you mean though.
I'm glad where I'm at. I'm happy with where I'm at, and I'm very blessed to have a beautiful, amazingly supportive, just wonderful human being for a husband. And
I thank God that we all got out of those situations, because it's toxic. It drains you. It could age. It's literally can kill you.
Kills you. Yeah.
Yes,
kills you.
absolutely.
Yay, Natasha Richardson's here. I haven't seen her in a little bit.
Hey girl, how are you?
Hey.
I want to read Amber Heard's statement real quick.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you guys can tell me what you think, and then obviously what you do to the things you can do to at least try your best to get away from a narcissist, or just for someone out there who may be with one. Okay. This is Amber Heard's statement after she lost, thankfully. Minutes after the jury awarded $15 million in damages. We all know that. Okay. This is Amber Heard's statement. The disappointment I feel today is beyond words. Heard's wrote in her statement, I'm brokenhearted that the mountain of evidence still was not enough to stand up to the disproportionate power, influence, and sway of my ex-husband. The 36-year-old says that she is more disappointed in what this verdict means for women, calling it a setback. It sets back the clock to a time when a woman who spoke up could be publicly shamed and humiliated. She said, it sets back the idea that violence against women should be taken seriously. I believe Johnny's attorney succeeded in getting the jury to overlook the key issue of freedom of speech and ignore the evidence that was so conclusive that we won in the UK, Heard said. In 2020, Depp sued the Sun newspaper and the parent company. We all know that. And I think that is it. That's all she said.
Yeah, that was pretty much in a nutshell exactly what she said right after. AJ, that's a protection mechanism. Teaya, if you see that last comment, AJ says my situation didn't age me, but it basically regressed me because I had my life together. I had my haircut and just all that stuff. And now I'm looking a mess like I used to in high school. A lot of the times when we experience abuse, especially if it is of like an SA type nature, we will do things to make ourselves undesirable and less of a mark, and or no longer feel the worth that we once did. There's like two different ways that can go. But a lack of self-care after an extremely abusive relationship is not uncommon. So don't feel like you can't get past that.
Plus, they'll say things too. Like, I used to go to the gym all the time, and then my ex would be like, well, you know, because I used to sell cars, and do finance, so my hours were super long, and so I would try to go to the gym either before or after work, and then it was, well, I'm barely getting to see you, and this, that, and the other. So then next thing you know, you're not like, I'm not going as much, and then it's like, well, you know, I think you're beautiful just the way you are.
That's
and
exactly
then,
what I was about to say. But you don't need makeup. You don't need to do
Yep.
that. You don't need to. You're perfect how you are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
I
haven't
got
gained
that a
weight. I still
lot.
love you.
Yeah. I actually, mine tried to have me gaining weight at one point. Like,
Mine too.
literally. You too, huh? It was really weird to me. And I was like, you know, I don't even want, oh, come on. Da, 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 da. And it was just really weird. I was like, no. I really did feel like he was trying to plump me up.
And then got mad when I lost weight because the doctor wanted me to lose weight.
Yes. Mine would say, well, what are you trying to do? What the fuck do you
Are you
mean?
doing this for somebody else?
My jeans don't fit. Like, what do you mean? What am I trying to do? I'm trying to fit in my clothes, mother effer.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Mine used to say my jeans were too tight.
Yeah.
You'd be like, can your jeans get any tighter than that?
Well,
like,
you know,
I'm just happy I can fit in them again.
Right. Yes.
Yep. They're horrible. I think with Amber Heard in this statement, first off, what do you think, Goose, about her statement?
Gaslighting.
It made me so mad. It made me so mad because first off, I didn't feel like it was a setback for women. I felt like what she did by herself, if anything, was a setback for victims and survivors in general, because this isn't a women thing. This is a people thing, because victims and survivors are, you know, men and women. They're not just women. Like, it made me so angry that she was trying to play that card, and then to try to say a freedom of speech thing. Okay, well, I'm sorry, bitch, but you know what? Freedom of speech does not protect defamation. It doesn't protect slander. And there's nothing I hate worse than, well, there are obviously, but you know, figure of speech, people that will fake abuse. Because like, up until this happened, I had never had somebody on social media literally ask me for proof. They asked me if I would provide them with court documents or people's names and phone numbers that they could contact in order to verify that I had actually been through what I went through. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
That sounds like another narc.
So pissed.
Yeah.
That sounds like you came into contact with another narc, is what that.
Oh yeah, it was a Heard supporter, and I was just like, wait, what?
Yep. And that's how I feel about it. I feel like, if anything, all she has done was set women back from ever wanting to come forward about DV, because they are afraid they aren't going to be believed because of people like you, because of people like Amber Heard that will take a situation like this and lie through her freaking teeth. And the saddest part about it is, it's like, you seriously have to understand, and people have to understand this on YouTube as a whole. You may be entitled to freedom of speech, but everyone has consequences.
Yeah.
Okay. Freedom of consequence. You're going to have consequences for your actions. You cannot just go around and slander people and talk about, this is a public figure just like she is. Okay. They're acting as though Johnny Depp, he's an actor, but Amber Heard, she's an actor too. And it's almost as if they're pretending as though Amber Heard is not an actress because I guess she's not the status that
it's
Johnny.
Because she's not A-list.
Yes,
what
so
they're
she's
implying.
not A-list. Well, bitch, you're never going to be A-list ever. Okay. So let's get that straight. And you literally just messed it up for so many women. It makes me so mad, the things that she has lied about, the bottle, the DV, just
Oh yeah, that made me so mad.
the extremes, the details that she went into. You did nothing but make it worse for women who are going through these types of things. And the Me Too movement, I have a lot to say about them, but I
Same
guess
here.
I'll have that for another live, because any other time they're speaking in Amber Heard's defense. Where are you now? Now that it's pretty much proven that this woman literally tortured this man for 5 years or however long they were together. How come, where are you guys at now? Where's Me Too at? Where's Time's Up? Where's all these people that spoke up, that speak up for
Maybe they're a lot like with the BLM actual organization. They profit off of and get donations off of certain times when the movement can be peaked. Like obviously whenever there's a police killing or something, BLM can really make a lot of profit at that time. So they're very prominent in the movement, quote unquote.
That's
I think it's the same thing with Me Too.
Right.
I think,
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Look at how the mainstream media is like, for anybody who didn't watch the trial, and then also like how how Elaine went and started, trying to do her whole publicity stunt thing, the next day. And well, we won in the UK. Well, actually, first off, in the UK, it wasn't JD against Amber. It was JD against the Sun. And so it was a completely different thing. It wasn't like the information, that the evidence, everything that was brought in was different. It was totally different. So what for her to say like, well, we won over there. No, you didn't. And
I don't think her final statement was about that though.
Right. No,
really
the final statement
she's
wasn't.
setting herself up for her next mark.
She literally in that statement, what in the hell did she learn? She literally just defamed him again in the statement.
She doesn't need, she's not seeking treatment. She's not seeking change. She's seeking her next mark. And the only way she can continue to be the victim is by making a statement like that.
Exactly.
Right.
Because she's a victim of her ex-husband's money and power.
Mm-hmm.
And so it really sets up her next mark. Because if she's willing to come out and say it publicly, come on, you guys, she couldn't be lying.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and she talks about the mountain of evidence. We had.
I can tell you dealt with it, Goose, because you're very rarely this spicy.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I can tell it happened to you too, because you are fucking on fire, man. You're
you know how that's another thing too, like with testifying and stuff. Like I think, and I could be wrong, maybe, but I feel like when you go through it, you almost get like a sixth sense. So when you, and this isn't necessarily true for like everybody that you talk to or whatever, but
it's easier
sorry,
to spot
someone's
the
driving
next
by.
time, I think. Uh-oh. You broke up.
Sorry, I just had like a really loud motorcycle drive by, so I didn't want to.
Okay.
I think you're right. It does give you a sense that you did not have before of danger around somebody who does certain things. It does me, male, female, a period. It does.
Yeah, not just that, but I mean, like when I was watching her testify and the things that she was saying and the things she was concentrating on and focusing on, and like, I mean, the bottle thing, for instance, I felt like I was getting punched. Like I didn't really feel any pain, or like when she talks about getting supposedly like slapped when she notices the tattoo, when she looks at the tattoo, and she's like, I was just like, I don't remember feeling any pain. Like, she claims he ripped her hair out and he, punched her so many times in her face.
Mad as the Hatter, dude. We know none of that happened.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, and then like people will say things like, well, but she started to go into therapy. Like she had all these therapist notes. Okay. This woman has done this numerous times. We know that she did it with her ex. I mean, she wasn't charged. She didn't end up getting in trouble, but she was arrested for it. The officer came and testified in this hearing about what happened, what she witnessed, how she witnessed her literally rip off her ex's necklace. Like her ex had an actual like abrasion mark on her neck from the necklace getting ripped off. She saw the broken necklace in the hand. She witnessed everything happen. And they're trying to say, oh, well, Tasha came out and she gave a statement that none of that ever happened. I'm sorry, but like, I'm sure that a lot of people have been in an abusive relationship and they're still in it, or they're still infatuated with that person. And so they do say that those things never happened.
Right.
And
We're gonna do that.
Yeah, I think that the first time she was probably abusive with JD, she ended up going, oh shit, like this is happening again, because people can only like a narcissistic abuser can only pretend to be somebody they're not for so long, and then their true colors come back out. I don't think I've told you this, Teaya, but I ended up in the last week reaching out to my daughter's father's current girlfriend. I just had this weird feeling, and I took a chance and messaged her, and he's abusing her. And
That's so sad.
It is. And she doesn't want to leave because she's like, she's gotten close with my daughter, and because of how he's being, she's worried if she leaves, then my daughter and my daughter's half brother who comes to visit won't have anybody there to watch over them. And I'm just like, oh my God, I know how you feel, because
it's pretty rare.
And sometimes it's hard
male narcs abuse their kids like female narcs do, though.
Exactly. And that's why
kids are like the extension of their golden loin,
right?
And they need them, and they need them to really like them in order to play them against you better. So really, that may just be her making excuses, honestly, because I doubt if he is as bad as what I'm hearing, he needs those kids to like him more than you.
Right.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No. She said that he gets more upset with her, like in front of the kids. Like there have been things that he has done. But like and also like right now he's in this stage where he knows that she's kind of over him and wanting to leave. And so he's trying to do anything and everything to get her to stay.
Is the abuse the same or more severe, or do you think it sounds less than? How would you?
I honestly, that? It sounds to me like it's actually less, which kind of doesn't surprise me, because I was actually abused a bit less than like his ex-wife. And so I feel like, he's kind of trying to control him. He's 50. He's going to be 55 years old in September. And so I think he's just learning.
Yeah,
and I think, and I think that's kind of the same thing with Amber. I think likely what happened was the first time that she ended up being abusive with Johnny, she was like, oh shit, I've started already. Like I got to cover myself. I got to, put down some breadcrumbs. And so she's got herself into therapy and started telling her therapist, like, oh, I'm going through this, and, to try to protect herself. And people will go, oh my God, that's crazy. Like nobody would ever do that. Trust me, like an extreme narcissist will definitely do that. They will do whatever they can to save themselves, because at the end of the day,
they'll throw anybody under the bus to save themselves.
Yeah,
their own mother.
Their children, it don't matter.
Yep. I remember one time I got a call, my mom's dying of brain cancer. And then whenever he was in that treatment place, I asked his mother, I was like, Mary, you didn't have brain cancer, did you? And she looked at me really crazy, and I said, I hope you know your son told me you were dying of brain cancer.
Wow. Yep.
And she made excuses for him.
Of course. That's another thing too. That's another topic we can talk about another day. But I noticed with men the only man that I dated that was a narcissist, his mother is like, how do I explain it? Enabled him and contributed to his narcissism. Like he was never wrong. Even when I would talk to her, she
not my baby.
Yeah, no, not he's the baby. Everything that he does is right. That's why it's very important to me to hold my boys accountable for what they do. If it doesn't matter if they are fighting, let's say they're fighting with somebody outside, going back and forth with somebody outside, I make them tell me the story. And if they're in the wrong, they're in the wrong. But I've noticed, like with my ex, with his mother, he was never in the wrong. Even when she would talk about a past relationship and him She would talk about him getting cheated on, but she would never talk about how he cheated on his ex.
Yes.
There was an excuse for that, though. Well,
She
did this.
didn't do something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So I do believe that narcissists have a lot of enablers.
Oh,
you
they
know,
do. They do.
And I think it starts from when they're very little.
Well, it's that, or it's kind of one extreme or the other. It can also come from extreme neglect.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, I think mine,
Like
it
protection
was neglect.
mechanism.
Yeah, neglect and like crazy thing. Like so my daughter's father, his parents were kind of like hippie-ish in a way, and his dad and mom would hang out with like this band a lot and do a lot of drugs. And he told me a story, and again, they lie a lot, but for some reason I feel like this story was probably true, just because you kind of at first you tend to believe a lot of stuff they say, and then you start paying attention more, and you can kind of tell, like, you can see these little things within them, like, okay, I don't think you're being truthful right now. But this one, he talked about how he was like 7, 8 years old, and his dad was having a party and had a bunch of guys over, and they were doing like acid or something crazy. And this guy was, you know how you can put your hand like flat on a table and you take a knife and you kind of go, and you spread your fingers out and you go back and forth and you try to see how fast you can go. Well, he was doing that, and then next thing you know, he hit his pinky with the knife. And my ex said he just looked at me and he smiled, and he was like, I can't feel that. And then he started twisting the knife, and he was like just laughing like crazy, and kind of like Amber Heard in that recording.
Yeah,
and
that was a weird recording right there.
Right. And then he ended up cutting his finger off in front of him. And so I think it was a combination of just like really unfortunate things happening as he was growing up, and then just like his dad drank a lot, and just not having a good support system. And then just
what I also noticed too, sometimes it's not even them being neglected as a child. They may have been neglected as a child, but then you have a mother trying to make it up to them when they get older. Does that make sense?
Too, or they just never stop mothering them, overly mothering them to begin with.
Yeah.
Or they were raised by narcissists themselves.
Right. Yep. Yes. Because it's like because I've been looking into that, because I was obviously like terrified for my daughter. And so I started looking into that, and it's like, my daughter had to start going to therapy when she was only 3, unfortunately. And her therapist was like, it's like a 50-50 chance, but fortunately, like, she already sees how her father is, and she saw that. She's only 9 now, but she's very, very, very smart for her age. And so I think in a way that kind of protects her a little bit, whereas like her half brother, who's like 14 now, he didn't see that until like he was like maybe 12 or so. And so I don't know, it's just like a little bit different, I think. And it's just, that's like the one thing, you get terrified of is, oh my God, like, you don't want your child to end up like them.
Yeah.
I luckily did not have children with the worst person that I had, the most abusive person I'd had a relationship with that wasn't just physical. We did not have any children, thank God.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So how do we handle a narcissist, you guys? Like, what's the best thing to do? We talked about this earlier, that girl, but we don't know if they heard it or not. So what is the best way? And there's a lot of creators that are like that here on YouTube too. So what is the best way to?
Well, I guess it depends on the relationship, on how you answer that, right? So I would say don't ignore red flags.
Oh, yeah.
Whether you're starting a relationship, you've been in one, if you're seeing red flags, you owe it to yourself to actually open your eyes and see if it's like a true threat. because
Right.
being with a narcissist is a true threat. And
It
in
is.
some cases, it can be a true threat on your life. Of course, get
Yep.
away from them. But some people aren't quite even in the relationship yet. So I'm speaking to them, especially like,
Or it could be a family member too.
yes. Or even
Yeah.
a friend, or, it could be creator, moderator. Like, you can come into narcissist paths in every walk of life,
Right.
I think one thing that I had, because like when we were talking about this,
Yes,
because
Kathy,
this
I
is just so
agree.
close to me, like I had actually written down a couple things that I just wanted to share, which was signs to watch for and then symptoms, because unless you've gone through this, some people might not know what to look for. I mean, some people say, oh, well, it's pretty easy to tell, but in some
Some people
circumstances,
don't know
it's not.
the signs. Yeah.
Well, there's all
Right.
different kinds of narcissists too.
Exactly.
So what may be a
Mhm.
sign for one may not be for another.
Exactly. And with the way that they're able to manipulate people, I mean, it is one of the most crazy things that if you've witnessed it, you know what I'm saying. But
Yeah.
until then, it's something that you're like, oh, no,
I think
that's
manipulation
crazy.
is the one thing that should be the very first thing to look for. I feel like
Yes.
when
That
you always
control.
feel like in a relationship that if you're in an argument and you know that you really didn't do anything wrong, but you find yourself constantly apologizing all the time, and your
Mhm.
partner isn't, maybe take a step back. Or if you
Well, and
find that you're isolated
the
too. Go
control
ahead.
starts simply like, oh, well, I think you look so pretty when you wear this.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Little things
will
like that.
gradually increase to, I like it when you wear this.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, it starts out very subtle and it can almost seem endearing if
Yep.
they're not smothering like what you said,
Yeah.
If they're good at their game, it'll be so subtle by the time you notice it, it can already almost be too late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Because they're just, I mean, they're keen, and a lot of times they're just like, they're really slick and just, I
Well,
mean,
it's their
depending.
survival skills. That's how they get through life, and they're very good at it.
Yes.
You're not going to beat them at their game. That's how they survive.
And that's another thing that I learned from that girl today. Another thing is you have to accept this, and it's hard to accept because I'm not going to lie, I like to argue with people, but
Yes.
you will never win with a
No.
narcissist.
Well,
Yep.
and your clip proves it. All that bitch, she even said it's a yes or no question.
Right.
And how she kept responding about the money proves it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't try to think like one either. Like I remember when I first left and I was getting ready to go just to my first court hearing, and I was like, okay, so I just don't understand this. Like I don't see how he can think like this. And the first attorney I had, he was like, you can't do that. Like you cannot, you will kill yourself and drive yourself crazy if you try to think like he thinks, because it's just not possible. Like
Yeah, you have to be
normal
one.
people don't have a brain like that.
Yep. So it's not even worth it to go back and forth with some of these creators here on YouTube.
Close. No.
Because you're not going to win. And it's not even a winning, losing thing. When it comes to somebody like that, you have to understand that no matter what, they aren't wrong. In their mind, they're not wrong.
No, they're never wrong.
Your response, good, bad, or indifferent, your response is their supply.
Exactly.
And the more upset you get, the more they get off on it.
Mm-hmm.
And if
Just
you give
like
them the
in the
silent treatment,
that's how you can win. I feel like with a narcissist, with the silent treatment.
That's what I thought. I thought that was the best thing to do, but that was what I did. And I quickly learned never to do that again, because that's the first time that my daughter's father physically hurt me. And I was like, oh shit. Like,
wow.
But yeah, you like,
I think more on YouTube, I'm saying, but in general,
for sure.
relationship, I would think that would be hard if you ignore. That's just going to make an abusive partner more upset.
Yeah, they lash out more to try to get the response that they need. And there are creators that do that as well. But obviously it's much different over the intrawebs verbally than it is when somebody can literally grab you by your hair and choke you out,
Exactly.
It is much different. But once you leave, that is what I think the most imperative thing. Is no matter how lonely you feel or how many of those manipulation tactics that were used on you to make you feel less than and like you deserved it, or whatever it is, because we all know there's like a million things that can go in that blank, right? You have to not. Okay, it's kind of like whenever somebody dies, even if they were a horrible person, everybody romanticized when they were alive, right?
Well, you think about the good things.
Well,
It's
the
like
longer you're away, the easier it is, because your brain actually does it on purpose, just like childbirth. You don't remember exactly how bad the
Right.
pain is till you're giving birth to another kid.
Yep.
And nature does that on purpose to protect us.
Yep.
And that protection mechanism can cause us to start romanticizing things, especially if you're dating somebody new and they're not love bombing you like you're used to after being with a narcissist. You know, you've got to not fall victim to your own body's defenses and forget why you left to begin with. And that's probably the hardest one. You know, what do they say? You go back an average of 8 times before you get it down. And a lot of women don't get to leave that 8th time because they're dead. Or men, you know, or men, obviously. You know,
right.
It's so hard to even, as somebody who's been there, you know how hard it is to get to somebody in that situation. So it's almost better just to pray that they'll get out in one piece.
Exactly. Yeah. And just like, I mean, there's so many different organizations. Like I had no idea that, you know, like how I was going to get out or anything like that. But I just knew I had to be able to leave my house with my daughter. So that was the ultimate thing, was to come up with a plan that would work. Because at that point, I couldn't even take my daughter to the grocery store. I couldn't even go to my mom's house and visit with her, with my daughter. But because my mom was a member of this women's organization, there was no way that her dad could come with us. And so that was how I was able to finally get out of the house, even though there wasn't even a breakfast like meeting. It was just the perfect plan.
Yeah. I'm so glad you got out. I'm so glad.
Yeah, me too.
That girl, you know, Goose, I'm glad that, you know, because I know so many women don't.
Yeah.
And it's so heartbreaking. It's just, it breaks my heart.
Well,
and then after you
the
leave,
children don't make it out either.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or and then they try, like, I remember afterwards too, because, you know, they always tell you it's the most dangerous time. And so I was just like terrified. So I stayed at my mom's house with my daughter, and because my mom has a really good like alarm system where basically it's not those new ones where the things just go on the windows and stuff. It's actually like wired into the house as it was built. And so she told all her neighbors, and I slept in my mom's like room with my mom and my daughter in between us for a while until I could get a camera system for the outside of my house and a surveillance system for the doors and windows. And then I even got myself my concealed carry, which I never thought that I would do. But I knew that I couldn't just rely on a piece of paper. And I would see him drive by, and because of how my property is set from the road, it was like, technically he, like footage wise, he wasn't supposed to drive by, but he told, you know, they're so manipulative. He's like, well, I have to go that way because I have a job there. And the judge was just like, okay, even though there was 4 other routes he could have taken, but the judge was just like, okay, well, I'm not going to make him go out of his way. And then, you know, I'd start getting text messages saying, you know, whose car is that in the driveway? And, you know, just
one of my friend's daughters, her ex is crazy as a loon. And he was waiting on her to bring one of the kids out or something. I don't remember the exact details, but just a few weeks ago. And he started going through her trash.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
And he asked her, he was like, why is there alcohol remnants in your trash? And there was literally like a couple of White Claws. Like, it was not a lot of booze or anything. Like,
yeah, they're the type of
it was
people
ridiculous.
They'd be like, why do you have 2 glasses? Did you have somebody over? Well, I drank a glass of water this morning, and then I had a glass of orange juice later. Like, you know, they just automatically assumed that that meant like another like partner guy or somebody was visiting.
Yeah.
I had, if it wasn't for my mother and having the financial means that she had to help me, I wouldn't have gotten out of that relationship. And I was very young, so it made it worse. I had no idea what the hell was going on.
when
you
I
know?
was stuck in my first marriage and that, you know how bad that abuse got.
Yeah.
I packed a backpack and I left and I hid. And I hid in places that normally would have scared me. And I did so long enough that when I finally felt safe enough to call my parents, my mother practically puked and they had to call and cancel a missing persons report on me.
Oh my God. And isn't it weird though? Because like, even though sometimes you're in these like really uncomfortable, like scary positions, like you almost, it's going to sound weird, but you almost feel safer than when you're literally like in a house that you know is safe, but you're with a person that you know could potentially kill you.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
Yeah. Well, and in my case, I was super young and there was some situations that happened. And though I had moved out to my parents to have that safe space, and I can't even tell you how it happened now, it's been so many years ago, he ended up living there too.
What?
Like,
What?
he ended up there too. And
Oh my God.
I
Like in the same
literally,
house?
yeah, like at my parents' house.
Oh my God.
And
Oh,
there
gosh.
was nothing I could do. And, I was young and irresponsible, and he was what, like 10 years older than me. And
Yeah, and that they know how to do it too, because like
yeah,
I remember like, I mean, I wasn't even married to this guy, but I had a child. Thank God I wasn't married with him, and I didn't put him on any like on my house or anything like that. But I was so like I wish I could go, like we actually had to go to trial. Usually when you go through custody or divorce, you go through family court. If you can't go through
mediate,
mediation, then
yeah.
the judge will figure it out. No, that didn't happen. They kicked us. We went into superior court. We ended up having a trial for, it was either 8 or 9 days, and then in front of a judge with witnesses and all this sort of stuff, and he freaking represented himself. So imagine being on the stand having to talk about the abuse, and the person who is questioning you is your freaking abuser because he's
Oh, they
so
do that.
crazy.
He did that
Yes.
on purpose.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I remember
That's
leaving.
like a dude that just murdered his wife in front of his kids and then cross-examined his child on the
Yes,
stand.
yes, I
He
saw.
was
Yes.
yelling at him and shit. I wanted to come through the screen and murder him.
Yeah, that
Oh
guy
my
was
God, it
just
was
crazy.
insane.
And he
Yeah.
got loud. If it's the same guy I'm thinking of, he got
Yes.
like
He got
really
very
loud.
loud.
And the judge even had to tell him to like calm down. And
I think there needs to be stricter laws too, as far as with when it comes to DV. I think the laws should be a lot stricter than what they are.
yeah, and it
Yes,
sucks because
Natasha
there's
Richardson. It was, yes, and he had like the braids or whatever. Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. He looked like he had cartoon hair or something like from SpongeBob.
He obviously was doing that himself, twisting it himself. But that was, I think it lent to like whenever he'd really start yelling, and it made him look more crazy.
Yep.
It
I
did.
remember when he was questioning his son, and of course they didn't show his son because his son was so
I'd
young.
show Bob. Yes, girl. Yes.
And they were like, they're like, he's like, did I really, I can't remember the specific question, but he asked him something like, well, did you really see me do that to your sister? And
Yeah.
he's like, yeah. And then he's like, but did I hurt you? Did I scare you or whatever? And he's like, well, yeah. Like it was so sad. Like,
Yeah, of course it's gonna be like that. Why should that even be allowed? Like,
I don't think it should be personally,
Yeah.
because I feel like that's like
it's abuse all
intimidating
over again.
It's intimidating
Yeah.
the witness, whether it's
Yeah.
abusive or not. It's intimidating the witness, and that's not supposed to happen in a court.
no,
Yeah.
that should not have to be.
We don't
have
even
been
need to
allowed.
take it to the level of more trauma and abuse.
Especially when you
Intimidating
can
the
get
witness is not legal.
right, and you can get a free attorney too. Like that's the thing. Like my ex, he had an attorney. He got a free attorney, but
Yeah.
he was like, I can do this better, of course, because they can all do it better.
Oh,
Yeah.
they always know the better way. Shit.
He wanted to intimidate. I
Yeah.
can't tell you how much I've enjoyed this panel. Like, having you guys up here made it so much easier for me to talk about, specific parts like this and
Yeah.
what I've had to endure. I don't talk about it much, and I will one day, not the whole entire details, but
Yeah.
my story, because I was young. I was very, very young. I was only 16.
Yeah,
But
we had a lot of the same experience in some ways.
yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah. But I feel like you guys are knowledgeable with this. Goose, you're so knowledgeable with this case, and I feel like that girl, I always like hearing what that girl has to say, as far as, especially when it comes to different things like narcissism. She just says the right things to me.
Yeah, you're good at putting like the technical things into
Right.
perspective for people who might not like know necessarily like what the word means.
Mhm,
You can explain
mhm.
it in lay terms very well.
Unfortunately,
Yeah,
plenty of experience with it, right?
yeah,
Exactly. And that's like one thing I think, to take from this when you do go through something like this, even though it sucks and you wish you could erase it, but like it also, like, I don't know for you guys, but I've also noticed that like sometimes I'll just be talking with somebody and I don't even know how it happens, but next thing they're just telling me like all this stuff about their life. And like, because I've mentioned like, I don't know, questions, something has come up, about DV or SA, and then they're like, I've never told anybody about this. And it's like, so I feel like even though it sucks to have these experiences, they teach us, and it makes it so that we can help other people. And, whether it's helping them to get out of a relationship or just go get therapy. Cause
Or
like, I didn't.
recognize it, or
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
if you can't do that, I agree with you, and it's like that for me too. Healing comes from helping, but if you can't do that, there's nothing wrong with you either. Some people do good just to get out and survive, and that's okay too. And I'm
Yes.
glad you started feeling better, Natasha, because I think just like with Teaya, it helps me when there's somebody that's around that I know has at least experienced some of what I have,
yeah,
because they're not going to gaslight me,
Right, exactly. And
You know?
they understand too. They
Yeah.
understand. Because if you talk to somebody who hasn't been through it, it's almost like they look at you like you're lying.
Like it's
Or like there's no way it
inconceivable.
could be that bad.
Yeah, it's
right.
inconceivable.
Or like you're over exaggerating.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I just adore you guys. You guys are amazing. I will be talking about this case again, for sure. And Goose, you're so knowledgeable with this case. I haven't watched everything with it, but I've been trying to catch up on it. And I wish I would have kept. I didn't know it was this good. Like, this is probably one of the most entertaining, courtroom
Trials
reality
ever.
that
Yeah.
I've ever seen. Like, that girl, seriously, if you have time, because you really haven't followed it too much. Like, watch it. I'm telling you,
I
it is.
think it's because I just see right through her. It's just
Yeah,
not that interesting to me. It's irritating to me.
it
And
makes you mad. I'm not gonna lie. It
and
does.
I feel like, okay, it's kind of like, how when people do the doxing and different stuff around here, I refuse to go watch. Or like if I'm there and I realize, okay, this is what is happening, I leave, because it's
Yeah.
not my business to hear it.
Mhm.
The few times that I did watch, which probably 3 or 4 different times, I felt like what I was learning about, especially Johnny, because he was being questioned when I watched, was inappropriate and not my fucking business. And it made me
Yeah.
really uncomfortable. I don't want to know about his nose candy habits and
Right.
his sex habits and all these other
And
things.
he pretty much sacrificed
He
all of
had
those
to.
things
All
getting out.
privacy. And
Yeah,
that
all of
was,
his
to
privacy.
me, her way to be able to further victimize him.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to take that fodder in because of that. And
Yeah.
I'm
And
not judging anybody that does, but
Yeah.
right, like
for
there's
me,
a really sad recording where she actually met up with him in a hotel after she got the DVPO. It was like in, I think, August or something, and she wanted to meet with him, and he recorded stuff. And there's a part, or he recorded some stuff, a phone call, but she recorded this really sad part where he had a knife and he was wanting her to cut him. And because he felt like everything had already been taken from him. Like he's like, basically like, take my blood. Like,
everything's
you've already taken
ruined. Just
everything
take
else from
me
me.
out. Yeah. And
Yes.
that's another reason why it just, for me, it's not entertaining.
Yeah.
And I've just been so up close with so many people that have those tendencies. Like, I'm a fucking magnet. To watch somebody that once was like, could definitely be considered a powerhouse in Hollywood be reduced to just
In
that.
such a vulnerable place, in such a vulnerable,
It's
toxic for the
Yeah,
world to see.
it's
I
too,
get what you're saying, but I
it's
still
too
think
much for me.
I think the law part of it is just very interesting. Some of the witnesses were very interesting. So
Some of that
even
was candid and funny as hell, like when that one
yes,
guy told her that she could be taking the case just for her 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, well, I could be saying the same thing about you for taking
was-
Amber Heard.
That was golden. You ladies are correct. It is probably one of the most entertaining, especially civil
it
suits,
is.
like ever.
Yes,
Well, and
I
like
it is.
some people will compare it to like the OJ trial, and I really don't. I mean,
No.
that was another big trial, but I think that this was so different because this was educational for people. At least that's how I looked at it.
Well, and
It
nobody's
was more
dead.
educational for people.
And OJ
Exactly.
didn't speak. We didn't get to watch OJ's narc tendencies on the stand like we are hers.
Right.
Like
And
this is the most blatant display of gaslighting and manipulation that I think we've ever got to witness. So I get why people are like, "Oh my God, look at this." But I don't think it's the same as OJ at all. And I find that to be very disrespectful to Nicole.
right. Exactly.
Nicole did lost her life. And
yeah,
it's just
and
not
he
the
was
same.
clearly guilty. I mean, I'm sorry, that's how I feel. If there's anybody in chat who doesn't feel that way, that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion, but I feel like he was definitely guilty. And so trying to compare the two, like some will say like it's the same because, it was justice wasn't served. And I'm like, no, fucking this jury got it right. And I am so thankful. Like I was thinking about this, like, I mean, I set my alarm to watch it every day, and I watched it through Emily D. Baker's channel because she just did amazing commentary on it, and just learning like the law part too, and the breakdown of stuff. But being able to see somebody who was so similar to my daughter's father and be like, oh my God, okay, yes, like this is like, it was almost it was sad to watch, but in a way it was kind of healing because I was like, there's another fucking psycho out there, just like my daughter's father. And
if a guy like Johnny Depp can end up with an idiot like that, then you don't feel so bad, do you?
Exactly. And it also shows that celebrities are not perfect. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors. They try to pretend like they are in so many ways, and they're just not. I think it's just the reality of it was very, very intriguing to watch to me. So,
well, and that privacy that you're talking about, like that we don't normally get to see and stuff, I think that comes along with celebrity, especially ones that are more private, and that actually makes it easier for the abuse to take place because they don't want people in their private life, and it does have to be so hush hush, and you don't want TMZ running your abuse story the next morning, so
exactly
you're less likely to report it and stuff.
I agree. I agree.
It's embarrassing. I just wanted to say one thing to Natasha too, because she said she was starting therapy tomorrow. So I just wanted to say I hope that it goes well, and just be really patient with yourself. Like just you're justified in your emotions. Like you're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days, you're gonna have days where you're like, fuck this shit, I don't want to be here, and you want to leave. Just take it day by day and
just be honest.
Yes.
No shame.
And most importantly, you're taking that step, and that's amazing. You should be so proud of yourself for that.
That's kind of the hardest part, is to just like get started. For me, it was, especially whenever I started having some really noticeable PTSD symptoms flare back up after what happened to Mr. Floyd. Like, I think everything from the C virus and everything after watching him be murdered in the streets, like, it was just way too much. And I started having the nightmares, and I noticed, and I called, and I was having anxiety, and I've been through therapy a million times, and it gave me anxiety. So you're right. That first step. That first step is the hardest.
Exactly. Because the other thing too, is like, there's such a negative stigma when it comes to therapy too, and depression and anxiety and all that stuff, when probably 90% of the population has either anxiety or depression, and it shouldn't be there. And therapy, everybody should probably go to therapy as long as you have a good therapist. But I did the same thing from what happened to me as a child. I didn't start going until I was 31 years old, and I was 38 weeks pregnant with my daughter. And the only reason I went was because my daughter's father, when I said, how he would say, well, if you leave, I'm going to call and say that you're acting suicidal or whatever, and they're going to bring you back. Well, he's changed that, because one night I said to him, well, fuck you, like, call the cops. I'm going to tell him you're being abusive to me. And so that wasn't going to work anymore with him. And so the next time I tried to leave, he was like, he tried to physically stop me. And then he goes, no, go ahead, you can go. And so I put my hand on the door and I was just about to open the slider. And he looked, and I look at him because I'm like, well, something's up. Like, this is way too easy. And he goes, you can go. You can go. And I'm like waiting and he goes, but I guess everybody's going to know your little secret about blah, blah, blah. And it was the person who had molested me for 5 years, as like from the ages of 4 or 5 until just after 9. And like, I could not believe that he was actually going to use that against me. And when I went to court the first day after I left with my daughter, he told an entire courtroom what happened to me. And that was like, of everything he did to me, the physical shit, the mental shit, that was the absolute worst thing he could have done to me. Because I was just like, you bastard.
Yeah.
Like,
he did that purposely, obviously.
Yeah.
He did that to scare you, to, and
He just
I'm
did it
sorry that you had to even
make me
endure
hurt.
that. Yeah.
Because just like with Amber Heard, like she was hurt because he left her. And like, that's one of the other things in the trial. If you listen to Dr. Curry break down like what she diagnosed her with, which was borderline personality disorder and histrionic personality disorder. Dr. Curry was so amazing with explaining everything and just simplifying it and talking about how, you know, a lot of times these abusers, their ultimate fear is to be alone and they cannot handle being alone. Like with Amber, she could not handle it when Johnny Depp wanted to like take some time and just like go and think, go into a bathroom or go for a drive or whatever. They can't handle that. It's like, because they're so fearful you're never going to come back.
And they're so fearful that you're going to think about, it's your time to think about how they truly are. You know what I mean? Like, they don't ever want you to be alone. Never.
Yeah. Because then you can think about things and then you might end up leaving and they don't want you to be with your thoughts.
Yes.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But it's late, so I'm going to end this. And I appreciate all of you guys being here, everyone in the chat. This was an amazing conversation. You ladies are amazing and strong. And I'm very, very blessed to have the two of you in my life.
Same, Tia. I'm glad that you gave us an opportunity to share with each other because it does help. Even though it sucks, it does help.
I hope this helps someone. Even if it's one person, I'm good, you know. But this is what we're going to be talking about. More of this, more makeup. I'm not going to be talking about drama all this time because it's just not going to happen no more. I'm tired of it. And I'd rather have 30 people in the chat like you guys than 100 that are only here for one purpose. So
yep.
Hope y'all are okay with that.
No, you know I am, girl.
I know you are. You keep preaching to me about the shit. Shut up. I'm gonna do it. I'm tired of it anyway.
You're just so worth so much more than that. And I feel like it distracts and diminishes away from everything that you have to offer. Otherwise, you know, what would be the difference?
Yeah. You know, you can address things from time to time, but no, I'm talking about all this shit. I'm done with it.
Sometimes you got to get it out.
Was smart. If you see an opportunity to educate, take it. But otherwise, why waste your time?
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for having me, beautiful.
Thank you, ladies, for being up here. Thank you, Goose. And we will be talking about this case again, too, Goose. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope you guys have a good night.
You too. You guys are amazing. Love you.
Good night. Love you too. Good night, chat.
You too. Good night.
Good night. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, Without Borders. Hey, beautiful. I appreciate you guys being here. It means so much to me. Talking about this is obviously never easy to talk about these types of things, but I appreciate you guys being here, and I hope you guys like talking about things like this because this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about things like this all the time, and I love you guys. I will see you guys probably tomorrow. I'll probably be back on here tomorrow, and I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your night. Get some rest, day or night, wherever you guys are at. Thank you for your support, and I will see you guys tomorrow. And don't forget to like, subscribe before you leave if you haven't already. And I'm going to have to put a trigger warning on here because we've been talking about some pretty heavy stuff. So I'm going to have to do that. But I adore you guys. Thank you for being here. And thank you to that girl for sharing the live. I appreciate you. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Deuces. I'm going to play the thing that girl made for me. And if you want an intro made, that girl will be linked in the description.
It sound right, boys. It sound right, boys.